Hi everybody. Middle of July, I'm finally getting around to doing the sevens video. So before we start, I just want to say that, when I'm doing these videos, the idea is to look at how different artists depicted the cards and what we can, glean from the slight differences that might be, in each artist's rendering. So, okay, I'm going to start with the Rider-Waite-Smith, as always, and the Seven of Swords. So we see somebody walking away with 5 swords and leaving 2 behind. Now, it looks like he's stealing. To me, it looks like a theft. When you read about it in the books, of course, it does often say design or strategy. So let's look a little deeper in the card and see what we can come up with. So one of the things I think is interesting about this card is that, he's his outfit. He's wearing this red hat with little black fur, red boots, little black fur. So that, to me, implies that there was some planning going on here. He's kind of dressed for the situation in his own mind, so he did plan this out. However, when I look at his feet are walking one way and his head is walking the other way, there's not so much self-assurance there. So maybe the plan wasn't 100% ready. Maybe he just didn't do such a good job in the planning. Of course, we see the yellow background denoting the air element, or that mental sphere. And there's tents in the background here. So in most of the cards, you'll see them walking away with 5 and leaving 2 swords. It's pretty common. So let's look at a few more and see where that takes us. This is from the Dame Darcy deck. So similar, idea here. The guy has 5 swords and he's leaving 2 behind. Now this guy might be hard to see, but he has a patch over one of his eyes. So he's not really even seeing or dealing with the full brain here. He's only dealing with one side. Interesting to me that the full moon is out. I don't usually see this as an intuitive card, but that moon is shining a light on this situation in some way. Now, when we look at the Ciro Marchetti deck, maybe we'll get a little more information there, because it says it is the moon in Aquarius. Now here, this is just an out-and-out theft. You can see he's a burglar, and he is absconding with those swords. So a lot of times the sevens give us an opportunity to detach from something, to take time and to not be so emotionally involved in a situation. And when we see that moon in Aquarius, that really denotes that situation pretty well, being a little bit unattached. So when we look at the Ludi Lescott, now this is really just an out-and-out card about strategy and design, and you'll see that this man here is doing his architectural drawings, I guess you could say. And it has it has a sense of quiet and of night. See a black cat there. Really neat here in the background. There's a little piece of stained glass behind him. And what it is a picture of a man walking away with swords. So it's like a little nod to the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. But, this, like I said, would be that really traditional idea of designing, of planning something out, of taking the time, to strategize, which of course is not an emotional situation, but really of mental and mental clarity is needed. Okay, now in the Sevenfold Mystery, now we're looking more at like a cleverness, a clever deception going on here. So the fox is holding a coin. The coin has a picture of a dove. And he's trying to trick the dove here with this picture of a dove. So maybe not the best plan, but it still gives the idea of cleverness or strategy. And in the Bohemian Gothic, so we see a little girl walking away secretively or furtively with this book. So she's stolen a book. So the book, has that air element as well. So rather than swords, we have the words or the thoughts. So, somebody walking away with a book and thoughts. Now, let's just talk about that for a minute, because for me, sometimes I think about this card when I think about people being propagandized. And if you're watching a show or a movie or whatever, and you're not really fully paying attention to what's going on, maybe some of your own thoughts are being stolen and being replaced with the ideas of the writer of that show or movie. So that to me is an aspect of this card. In the Deviant Moon, so this guy is balancing a sword on his feet, and there's another sword hanging from that one on a string. But when you look really closely, you'll see that string is frayed. And it's very possible, it's very likely that this will fall into his mouth and he could become hurt. So this is a plan that really wasn't thought out well. Time to go back to the drawing board. This was inadequate planning. So let's take a look at the Vision Quest and the Thoth. These are the decks with the keywords. So the Vision Quest says futility. So that certainly gives the idea that this is the plan was not laid well. And the Thoth is also futility. Okay, let's move on to the Wands. And so here we have a guy who appears to be in battle and protecting himself. So he is, he's wielding a wand there, and there are 6 other wands coming toward him. Now we don't see, who's holding those other 6 wands. Are they people down there, or is he battling with his own passions? We don't know. His footwear is interesting here. He's got one sort of little slipper and one boot. So against all odds, he's still battling and hopefully finding some victory. Okay. Dame Darcy. Similar idea. It's in water, of course, because it's a mermaid deck. You'll see there is lightning in the background, and she is, battling against these other oars. Okay. Okay, now Ciro Marchetti, he has this, he puts Mars in Leo. And take a look at the card. So this really does show a real battle and strength and endurance. His wand seems to have, it's glowing. It seems that it is like a ray of sun has caught his wand. And it looks like he will be victorious here. And he's standing on this, it looks like a big sun or a big star that he's standing on. Really denoting the sun, I feel. So that, it's showing that against these odds, once again, that he will be victorious. And did I say it is Mars in Leo? So Mars, of course, that martial energy, that fighting, standing your ground, and being aggressive when need be. And in Leo, with the passion and force, really to be able to do what you need to do. A lot of fiery energy and passionate energy in that card. Now, in the Sevenfold Mystery, you don't see the action as much, but these are 2 people that are preparing to go to battle with each other. Ludi Lescott. Okay, now we see once again a man battling, and you can see all this fire, this real fiery element there at his feet. And, he looks strong and he looks capable. And I'm rooting for him. And in the Deviant Moon. So there's no weapons here. But you can see this person, they're walking maybe a very difficult path that's dense. With all these wands or trees. Their hands are up protecting themselves. And they are still making it through this, on this difficult journey here. In the Bohemian Gothic. So, you know, this guy looks like he can handle himself. He's got a weapon here, and he's just, you know, fighting against these other wands. You know, he's got protection here. And if all else fails, he can just scare the people away with that face of his. And let's see what the... okay, the Vision Quest says endurance. That's a nice card. And Thoth says valor. All right, let's move on and take a look at the Pentacles. So in the Rider-Waite-Smith, we have a guy waiting and waiting and waiting for the fruit to be ready. So whatever he has planted in the past, you know, he's done a good job, but it's just not ready yet. So again, that's the sevens, you know, giving us the opportunity, whether we want it or not, to detach a little bit and to wait. Hurry up and wait. He looks a little sad, but I don't really think it's a sad card. In the Dame Darcy, very similar here. And, you know, we see on the seaweed there the pentacles. She's just waiting for them to be ready to blossom so she can fill her box maybe more. Ciro Marchetti, let me look at his... oh, very interesting. Saturn in Taurus. Well, that adds some information to the picture here. So we have a woman here, you know, she does look very peaceful and confident, waiting for that fruit to be ready, for that tree to bear the fruit that she has worked so hard on in the past. She has 2 baskets, so she's very, you know, prepared and hopeful that she will be filling those baskets. But now when we think about Saturn in Taurus, well, we could go a couple different ways with this. Saturn does slow things down, so that's why there's all this waiting. Of course, Taurus has all that earth energy. But Saturn can also be constricting. So sometimes we don't get what we want in the long run, you know. So let's keep looking and see what we have. The next card here from the Sevenfold Mystery is a little different. This just shows that, you know, things are really lined up here. And he gives the idea of this connection of the heavens and earth here. And as the situation is so beautifully in alignment, it can give an opportunity for things to take off and to ascend. In the Bohemian Gothic, it's really kind of about taking that step back, looking at what the work that you've accomplished and waiting. So it really has that idea of patience once again. And similar to that Ciro Marchetti card, you know, she looks very confident and peaceful in her waiting. Oh yeah, let's take a look at the Ludi Lescott. So here we see a woman, well, you know, there's a similarity here because she's reflecting. You see, she's looking in a mirror here. She's got a beautiful bunch of roses here that are behind her. So, you know, she's taking the time to reflect, you know, perhaps on some of the good things that she has in her life, or her own beauty, or you know, the beauty that has been bestowed upon her here with the roses. So this also has, you know, somewhat of that patient, peaceful aspect to it. Let's look at the Deviant Moon. So he's got a wand here, and he's poking this tree to see if it's ready, basically. A little drop coming out here. The tree just isn't quite ready yet, you know. Not yet. Just have to wait a little longer. Now let's take a look at the Vision Quest, because they're really, Vision Quest and Thoth are really looking at that more difficult aspect of Saturn and in Taurus. And here we have depletion. So the work that was, that had been put out really is not manifesting in the way that it had been hoped. And here we have failure in the Thoth. So those are much more difficult. Now, let's take a look at the cups. So, in the Rider-Waite-Smith here, we have a person just, wow, they're looking at all these things that they might want for their life. They could choose fame or fortune or money or mysteries, knowledge, wisdom. So, but it has such a dreamy quality. So it's a reverie or a dream, or perhaps, looking at some choices here. And very similar in the Dame Darcy. All those things up in the clouds there. So let's take a look at the Ciro Marchetti. He has Venus in Scorpio. And we will see how that plays out later. Because with, Venus in Scorpio, there's a bit of an excess of that Venus energy. And we'll see the keywords that are very accurate, depicting that in a very interesting way. But first, the sevenfold mystery. Similar idea. We have cups here, and let's see, we have a cup that's money. Snake might represent some jealousy. Star for fame. And here, the sex, fear, anger, all these crazy cups. And in the middle stands this cup that represents wisdom. So, when we're thinking of these things, choose wisely, right? Now, let's see what, Ludi Lescott, check this out. If you can see, this is, she is leaning here against a mirror, okay? And rather than her own reflection, there's a skeleton in the mirror. So, her perception is really off here. She's being deceived. And let's take a look further, because it's really interesting. There are things all around here. There is a letter here. There's a trinket box. And her shoes. One shoe is on, one shoe is off. Her shoes are really cute. They are like a little fish design. So that brings in, kind of an emotional state with the water energy and that Venus and Scorpio as well. So there's an emotional imbalance here, I would say. She's not really seeing things very accurately. Also, in the mirror, you'll see that this man is walking toward her. And she doesn't even seem to be aware of him just yet. She's very, very upset. In the Bohemian Gothic, now she just looks like she's enjoying her reverie, thinking about, what it is she might want. Having a great little daydream there. That's a fun card. Okay, in the Deviant Moon. So we'll see once again that the perception of the person is off a little bit. So he's painting. It's a really interesting picture here, little painting. But he's looking at these cups. And yet, it's very different. What he's putting on the canvas is very different than what we're seeing here. So he's having his own perception, his own dream, his own vision of what is going on. So remember that Venus in Scorpio. So let's take a look at the Vision Quest, and they call it excess. And you could see those pots are broken. The water's flowing out. And in the Thoth, he calls it debauch. Kind of funny. Just a little too much. A little overindulgence for Mr. Crowley. So, everybody, that was the sevens. I hope you're really having a great summer. Enjoy it while it lasts. Eat some yummy fresh fruit. And have fun. I'll see you in August. Bye.